Today we'll talk about visual calculation. This is a new feature which Power BI has added probably in March or February of this year. So this is, as the name indicates, it's a visual calculation. It appears on the visual and it is executed directly on a visual. And of course, it doesn't, as a result, it doesn't appear in the your semantic model. And visual calculations can only refer to what's on the visual. So once you do that, and if you're using the latest version, October 2024, then it's already there. Otherwise, you have to go to settings and enable it. Once you enable them, if you look up top on the right, you can see those new visual calculation. Of course, it's now grayed out because we haven't created any visual. So once you create and add data, that grayed out part will go away, and you can start using the new visual calculation. Again, go to your options and settings. If you have not enabled it. Once you do that and drag a visual onto the canvas, you can start working on it. For now, we are trying to drag a line visual onto the canvas so that we can start adding data. So for x-axis, we will try to go and add the date. And for the y-axis, we will add the total sightings. That is the measure which we have created earlier. So let us go ahead and grab that particular value from measures table and grab onto the line chart. So as such, right away you can see the visual appearing, not much fancy. It's a standard thing, and I've already enabled the data label, so you can just go ahead and tweak that. So now that we have this, then we can start looking at what are visual calculations. Like I said, once you create this, that option is no longer grayed out, and there are about, I think, 9 templates where you click on those particular things like running sum or whatever. Those things, the visual calculation window opens up, and it is already pre-filling certain things for you. All you have to do is add those columns from this particular visual so that those calculations are appearing. Let us go ahead and click on running sum. Running sum, as you can see, it's already pre-filled for us. It's a template. So all you have to do is add the field. In this case, we want to add the total sightings. So we want a running sum of total sightings. So for example, 25, 1925, it's 1, and 28, it's 2. So it should appear like 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Don't worry about the formatting. You can just later on you can format it later on, no worries. Like I said, it is adding up all the total sightings based on each row. As it moves down, it is adding those values from the total sightings column. Absolutely perfect. And also automatically, as expected, the line chart, that visual running sum line graph is also appearing. So far so good. And in case if you want to add more functions, you can create those calculations from here. The ones which are up top, those are also available, those templates. Let us go ahead and calculate % of grand total. We want to create another column here where we can calculate the percentage of this value on each row versus out of the total grand total. We know, I think it's 96,000 odd the total number of rows in this data set. So we want to calculate the number of sightings as a percentage of that particular grand total. Once we do that and commit to it, you have those % of grand total available here. And you can, like I said, you can format it, absolutely no problem. You see zeros here because we have to add more decimal places. So because 1 out of 96,000 will not make sense, right? It will not show in 2 decimal places. So we can go ahead and make that adjustment. So that is easy for us to do, and there is a way to do it. If you just go back to the visual and click on the right side, go to the format section and click on properties. There is a new thing which they have introduced. It's called data format. You can format all these visual calculation results, the scalar values. Like for example, we want to do for running sum. Because it's a whole number, by default it is given as decimal number. We can check and play around with those settings, and in this case we want to convert that into whole number. And also we want to add the 1000 separators. In case if you're calculating say percentage, you can click on the drop down. You can make those changes. You can say percentage format. But in our case, it's a whole number. We have already selected the data type. and also click on check that 1000 separators, so that you have your thousands separators appearing on your graph as well. So I think so far so good. Let us try to commit it. I didn't commit it, but once we do that, those commas also are visible on the graph here. So far so good. And like I said, we can tweak around now that we have a visual where we can see, and once you hover over any kind of data point, it shows you the running sum and also the total sightings. And we also have calculated the percentage that is also appearing as in the bottom. We can just make changes as we move along in this video. And like I said, we can increase the decimal places for the calculations which we did, the percentage of grand total, so that those things are available. We have adjusted to 5 decimal places. Now slowly as you hover, you can see that as a percentage. So afterwards we can change that into a percentage format, so that instead of the raw numbers up there, it will appear as a percentage. So those things you can just play around and make those settings changes, right? And that is perfect. And like I said, in case if you want to do any changes, like we don't want the percentage, we can just move that into tooltips, so that whenever you hover over any kind of data point, that is appearing as a tooltip. So I think so far so good. And we can make the changes, the look and feel part. We can change the color of running sum. We can make the type of the line to a dashed one. And also we can change the color, so that both you can distinguish between both the running sum and the total sightings. I think this is a standard thing. I think you are used to it by now. So make those changes and keep trying to improve the visual, so that whatever best you want, you can get the best out of the visual. So what I'm doing is I'm changing the legend to center. So based on your needs, you can make those settings changes. It's pretty easy. I think we have by using the visual calculations, we have just kind of removed the complexity. In case if you remember the previous example, we did simple moving averages, and we had to make a lot of calculations. But here with this new feature, all you have to do is just click on whatever template you want, like for example running sum, add the total sightings, your running sum is calculated. Let us try to see further. In case if you want, you can if you want to edit a percentage, whatever calculations you made, you can edit those calculations, and those things are there available. Like I said, in case if you want to change that into a format, percentage format, you can do that too. And you can add more code. Like always, we want to use the in scope here in the table. We want only the total to show up in case if there is any, if it is year is in scope. So that way your table visual also looks good. So it's pretty easy. Just read up visual calculations. Microsoft Power BI has given a lot of documentation. It's exhaustive, so that you can use the features at a better rate. So like I said, we'll change the percentage into percentage format, so that the percent of grand total is appearing as a percentage. So these are all tweaking you're doing to your visual, so that whatever you want to achieve in the visual, you can make those changes accordingly. Now that we have done this, we'll try to copy this visual, and we'll try to probably see that in a table visual. So that way we have two visuals in this report page, so that in addition to the line chart, we can also convert this to a table chart, so that we can see those values better. So we'll try to convert that into a table visual. So on the right side, the second visual is now a table visual. Perfect. So you can see all those things. You can sort them by year, and you can look at the total sightings, running sum, and percent of grand totals. Remember, these two calculations, running sum and percent of grand total, we have used visual calculations, and we have seen it is very simple. The simplicity is there, and of course the limitations are you cannot use them in anywhere else in your report pages except on this visual. And in case if you want to convert them, there are limitations too. Not all the native visuals are custom visuals. You can convert them into using new visual calculation option. So there are limitations. Please read up, and like I said, you can add more calculations too, right from up top, or you can just go to the visual and you can use that too. So if you remember, like I was saying in the previous example, when we calculated moving average, we had to do step 2, right? We had to calculate and use the filter context. Everything is done for us in the new visual calculation. So like they say, the hard part is removed, so that if anyone is kind of hard pressed for time, or if they're not into coding, they can always use visual calculations. And of course, while using visual calculations, they have to understand there are certain limitations. So if they understand that limitation, then they can bring the best out of it. And you can show the visuals, show these calculations on your visual, or you can hide them. So those are all the things which are there available. Again, looking at the calculations, it's pretty simple. On the left, you have your total sightings and running sum on the middle column. So those calculations are there for us. Absolutely perfect. And I mean, this is just, we are just scratching the surface. Like I said, we can always add the moving average and read up the limitations. I think we might get carried away that instead of writing long lines of codes, if it is something simple, we feel that it is pretty easy for us to do. But again, once we keep the limitations in mind, thereby we can try to use visual calculations to the best of our abilities. So let us try to, like always, bring that back button onto this particular page, so that once you have those things, you can always go back to the page navigator. I think visual calculations are a way to go. It's kind of easy, become easy for most of us to start using visual calculations. And you can also create custom calculations too. If you see, if you remember, when we drop down this that area, new visual calculation drop down button, in addition to the standard templates of 9, there is always another custom calculations too. You can add your calculations and use those calculations too in your visual. So again, you can carry those calculations from visual to visual. Again, based on the limitations, you have to keep that in mind too. Like I said, there is a custom calculation too. You can apply a calculation, or you can use those templates. I think this is a good thing, which this feature is helpful for us. So for now, we'll pause the video, and thanks for watching.